Hi guys, I don't know if you can see, but this is my room. I'm at a conference in Dallas, like I already told you. Let's see, well, there's nothing to show you, pretty much. That's my TV, and I don't know. What else can you see? Oh, my room's dirty. But anyhow, well, I don't know if you're going to like what I'm going to tell you, but sorry. Your test that you guys took, on Friday was a practice test. Unless you're in second period. If you were in second period, that was your real test, and I actually brought it with me right now, and I need to start grading them. But for all the other classes, I left your test on my table, so please remind yourself to return it to you, because after I'm done recording this, I'm going to go ahead and start recording how to grade your own test, because that's what you're going to do, and then you're going to study so that when I return from a conference and come to work on Thursday all tired, you're going to take the real test, okay? Except for the very last question, which was number... Okay, so let's take a look at our test. So question number 1, let me give you the answers. The first one was standard form, so the answer was B. Question number 2 is slope-intercept form. Well, actually, this is the first dot, right? And then the third dot, this isn't under big question number 1. And then the third dot is neither. And then the fourth one is also neither. It's a C. So make sure you grade yourself, and so each one is 1 point. So that will be a total of 4 points for question number 1. Let's look at number 2. We had to find the x and the y-intercept for 6x minus 4y equals 12. And I told you gotta list it, right? You have to put x-intercept here, and you gotta put y-intercept here. Okay. And then I said you gotta use the block method to find the x-intercept. You gotta block all of this. To use the y-intercept, you gotta block all of that, because 0 times all those stuff is gone. And you see 6x is equal to 12. Divide both sides by 6, x equals 2. You see negative 4y equals 12. Divide both sides by negative 4, y equals negative 3. So we know our answer. Let me see if I remember this correctly. 1 point for putting x-intercept and y-intercept, that's 1 point. 1 point for putting the equation on both sides, that's 2 points. And then for blacking out, 3 points, 4 points, and then 5 points, 6 points, 7 points for copying the question right, 8 points, 9 points, 10 points for getting the correct answer. And then finally, you got to write your answer in English, right? Okay, so that would be the 11th point, okay, just to write it out in English. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Number 3, you had to draw the graph, okay? So then I told you that you gotta first list it, right? So after you list them, because this is each 1 point, then you have to graph it. And some of you were asking me how to graph during the test, but that was already too late. The x-intercept is at 2, 0. The y-intercept is at 0, negative 3. And you just had to connect those two. And so the graph was another 2 points. Okay, but then I also gave you like 1 point if you just had any line drawn through the 2, okay? But total you can get 4 points for question number 3, okay? The 1 point was just extra for people who didn't get any points. Number 4, you had to graph this, and you know, question number 4 and question number 3 are quite different, right? So over here, you have to find the y-intercept, which is at -1. Put a dot there, right? Okay, and then the slope is 4, which is the same as 4 over 1. You go up by 4 and to the right by 1. So you have to go up 1, 2, 3, 4, and to the right by 1. And then you just have to connect those two. And you got 1 point for this point, 1 point for that, 1 point for the squiggly lines, and 1 point for just connecting the 2 points. So that was a total of 4 points. Let's take a look at question number 5. So in this case, whether you distribute or divide both sides by 3, I said it doesn't really matter. But I wanted to divide by 3 first. So this becomes a big fat 1, right? So 1 times x minus 2 is obviously just x minus 2, and that equals 3. I know I gotta leave the x by itself, so I gotta add 2 to both sides. So x is now equal to 5. Okay, so let me tell you points. Okay, so I said 2 points for work and 1 point for the answer. And it's supposed to be x equals 5. But when I say 2 points for work, I just wanted to let you know that the work has to be absolutely correct. Okay, so this was a total of 3 points. Number 6 is interesting. Okay, so in order to graph this inequality, you know that you gotta leave the y all by itself. So we need to subtract 8 from both sides first. Then we'll have -4y is equal to or greater than. Don't forget to put the x first, and just remember that these two cannot be combined. Okay? Alright, so we want to again leave the y by itself. So we have to divide everything by, -4. And so we talked about this. When we divide everything by -4, this becomes a big fat 1. So I'm left with y. And then I have to change the symbol because we're dividing MCG, right, by a negative number. And so a lot of people ask me this question during the test. Is +3 divided by -4? So Miss Choi, what do I do? Positive divided by a negative is just positive. I'm sorry, negative, okay? It's too early in the morning for me. Uh-oh, what's going on? Okay, so that's -3 over 4x, and then when you divide two negatives, it's +2. So now it's easy to graph, right? Okay, so let's see. You have to show the work for all of this, okay? So you find the 2, 1, 2, put a dot there, and then the slope is -3 over 4. That means you go down by 3 to the right by 4. So 1, 2, 3, to right by 1, 2, 3, 4. There you go. Now we connect them because of this thing down here. You can actually use a solid line, and then you see how, look at this over here. Alligator is not trying to eat the y, so y is less than. That means you gotta shade the bottom part, okay? So I hope you got this. Let's talk about points. Okay, so this one was an 11-pointer. Let's see what you needed in order to get all 11 points, okay? So subtract 8 from both sides. That was 1 point. And then divide both sides by -4. Copying 3x minus 8 correctly and not combining them over here. That was another point. What else was there? So 1, 2, 3. You had to write the answer correctly for this one and this one. The symbol, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think I'm good so far. And then the graph part. This dot here, because you got to start off at 2. And this dot here, squiggly lines to show the slope, and this line over here drawing a solid line because of the equal sign down here, and then shading the bottom part. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, so this one was 11 points. Okay, so make sure you grade yourself. Okay, so let's take a look at number 7. You know, this is one of those questions where I said you really have to distribute. Okay, so that's negative 2x, and then negative 2 minus 4. And then you know how we have to combine like terms, these two over here. So then that's negative 2x minus 6. And then I know I gotta leave my x by itself. So let's go ahead and add 6 to both sides. And so now this is negative 6. Leave the x by itself. So again, divide both sides by negative 2. Oh yay, MCG, we're dividing both sides by a negative number. This becomes a big fat 1, right? And so now we're left with x. 2 negatives. When you divide a negative by a negative over here, then you're going to get positive 3. And then of course, look at this symbol right here. You gotta switch that, right? Okay, don't forget that. Okay, so there you go. And now we gotta graph it, and that was a very simple one too. Just a line. Find the 3, open, and it has to go towards the left. Okay, let's take a look at points. Okay, so this was an 11-point question. Let's see. 1 point for this, 1 point for that, 1 point for combining the negative 2 and the negative 4 into a negative 6. 1 point for adding 6. 1 point for dividing by negative 2. Oh, 1 point for getting the negative 6, because sometimes people don't know that when you add these two numbers, you get negative 6. And then, what else? Getting the correct answer, changing the symbol. Okay, and then we have to open circle number 3 and arrow going that way. So how many points was that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So that's right. So this was 11 points. So make sure you grade yourself. We're almost at the last question. Yay! Okay, so we have to solve this for y. That means we gotta leave the y by itself. So everybody, we have to get rid of the 3, right? So what do we do first? Multiply both sides by 3. And that canceled this whole thing out. Remember this? Okay, this became a big fat 1. Okay, so now I'm left with 4x plus 6y, which is equal to 3c. Still have to leave the y by itself, so subtract the 4x from both sides. And yes, this is a c. And then I'm left with 6y is equal to, and don't forget, I'm going to put negative 4x first, and then 3c. I still gotta find out what y is equal to, so I divide everything by 6. And so now, y is equal to, and then you gotta simplify, negative 2 over 3x, and then plus 1 over 2c. And that's it. Now let's look at points. It's supposed to be 6 points. Let's see. Multiplying both sides by 3 is 1 point. Oh, wrong color. 1 point. And then subtracting 4x from 2 sides. Dividing everything by 6. Getting the correct answer here and here. Is that it? Oh yeah, making sure that you separate these two, the negative 4x and the plus 3c. So that was a total of 6 points. Yay, the real last question. Okay, so 9 is a word problem that I'm not going to write here because you're looking at your test right now. Okay, so you're going to be charging $6 a task. Let me write down the information. Okay, so you're going to be charging $6 a task to do chores for people because you want to buy your $800 iPhone. So let's see, you have to set up an equation. So I need at least $800, but I need more than that for text and stuff, right? So I already got $150 that Uncle gave me last month. And then to make extra money, I'm going to charge $6 per task. Okay? And then, so from here, you just have to subtract 150 from both sides because you want to find out how many tasks you got to do. So then this is going to be 650. Divide both sides by 6. And yay, we're dividing by a positive number, so we don't have to switch symbols. This becomes a big fat 1. Okay. So then t is equal to or greater than 650 divided by 6 is like 108 point something something. Okay. 8.3 something. Okay. But anyway, that is not really important because you got to write your answer in English, right? So let me give you that. Okay, so you should totally write it like this. Now, I want you to focus on my answer. It's 109 tasks because look at your equation. It says you need how many? T is equal to or greater than 108.3. So if you do only 108 tasks, you won't have enough money. You gotta do more than 108. You cannot do 108.3 tests. So you gotta do 109 tests, okay? So you'll have a little bit more than $800 when you do this, okay? Alright, so now let's take a look at your score. Okay, so this one was a 9-pointer, so let's go over this, okay? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And then 6 points for subtracting 150. Now, when I put the check marks on top, it's seriously literally just that, okay? You get 1 point for 150, 1 point for plus, 1 point for 60, 1 point for the symbol facing the correct way, and 1 point for the 800. And then 1 point for subtracting 150. Alright, and then here dividing by 6, and then getting the correct answer. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then here, you need to get the correct answer here, and then you gotta actually write it out in English. Okay, so I lied. I said on my video it's out of 9 points, but now it's out of 10 points. So I hope everybody got 10 points on this one. So that's it. Today you're just going to be grading your own test and study the stuff in your test, okay? Tomorrow I'm going to give you similar questions so you can practice more problems. And then on Thursday, you're going to take the test. All right, see you Thursday. Oh, wait, don't forget, if you're in second period, we're going to have the earthquake drill on Thursday. So your real test was Friday, okay? All right.